What's up, YouTube? It's a beautiful day in Texas. So, I've always had a GoPro on and filmed myself doing random things, but I never thought about putting a microphone on it and trying to talk. And a lot of times when I'm thinking through problems or things I want to create, I ride around on my bike and I think about it, and I'll be like, yeah, you know, maybe I should throw this guitar on this amp, and maybe I should write a song like this. Or wouldn't it be cool if I could do this kind of drum fill mixed with this guitar line while this guy's singing? These are just the things I think when I'm riding. So, naturally I figure, well, what if I put a microphone on my GoPro, ride around and talk about the things I'm thinking about creating, and maybe that'll help me work through some of my creative ideas that I want to work on. For me, after COVID, well, starting with COVID and then after COVID, it's been hard to get people back together to want to play. Some people are a little scared still. A lot of people are out of practice. And it's weird because I remember them talking about how all the creative people during COVID were going to have they were going to come out with all this great material that's going to be the COVID material, and all this great music's going to be released. And in reality, the most I saw was a bunch of people doing Zoom collaborations where they would cover other bands and do their version of Boston or their version of a metal song, and it'd be like Pantera with someone's vocals on it and some famous person's guitar and etc. I didn't really see anybody do anything that came great from COVID. But also the reality of playing music and writing music is people tend to write music and record it and then just sit on it for a while until it's time to come out, because you need the artwork done. You've got to go through the publishing, you've got to get that side done. So whenever you hear an album that came out in any capacity, it might have actually been recorded and done years before that. It took a while to get done. It even depends on the label that was recording it. Some of these labels, they hold on to the album because they think it's not advantageous time to try to release that album. So, I didn't personally see any bands come out with great albums during COVID, or post-COVID, I guess. But even on my own, I found it hard to get people to want to get together and write and work on music, because I mean, it's a lot of people during COVID, they, you know, lost their jobs, or their jobs kind of went part-time instead of full-time, or some of them went from part-time to full-time, and now they don't have the time to work on music. Some people just got out of it, stopped practicing. Some people hit hard times and had to sell their equipment, so they don't have anything anymore. So for me, not being able to play or jam with people, I've started riding my motorcycle a lot. So for me, not being able to jam, I ended up finding myself riding my motorcycle a lot, because I already love riding my motorcycle, and it's one of the few things they didn't stop you from being able to do. And now I've been riding and I'm having that urge and that itch to write and create, I've got ideas going. And most of the time when I work on music, I actually used to use the GoPro to record my live shows, and we would take a Zoom camera, put it up and record our practices and rehearsals. A couple times in the studio, I would record in the studio. So I figure, well, why not try to get some music going again? And since I ride and think about what I want to record, well, I slap my GoPro on my motorcycle and kind of talk my way through what I want to record and what I want to do. I've got a couple ideas for albums. I think what it came down to is, for me, I want to be creative again, musically, but I also love riding motorcycles. And I've always considered myself more of a rock guitarist, but not like your traditional rock and roll, because I do listen to some heavy music. Not really metal, but like metalcore, post-hardcore. I grew up listening to punk and hardcore music, and I like the rock aspect of hardcore. So I like some aggressiveness in my rock. But I'm Texan. I like country too. So I like a good mixture of both. So part of my idea is, well, why don't I try to mix some country or southern roots with rock? And I know that sounds stereotypical, because like every dad group that you hear putting together a garage band is like mixing blues and rock and roll, and it's very generic, four on the floor. And that's not necessarily what I'm thinking about doing. I kind of want to push it into a little bit of heavier territory. But I figure, why not try to film myself working on all this. I normally don't really film myself so much as film the band live, or film parts of rehearsals and stuff. So this is going to be my journey into filming not only what I want to do musically, creatively, but also filming motorcycles, because I love motorcycles. I love riding. And this is some beautiful weather to be riding in. These backcountry roads. Right now I'm riding in backcountry roads of Boyd. I'm heading towards Rome, Texas. And then I might circle around, I'm not sure. I got some errands to do, but I got different ways to get there and all the time in the world to get there, so I'm just enjoying my ride. Part of me recording and trying to do this, I realize I haven't quit playing music. I don't have a desire to quit playing music. I just am tired of relying on a lot of other people. When you're in a band, you're working with the bassist and a drummer and a singer and a guitarist and keyboardist and saxophonist, you know, whatever type of band you got going, you're relying on people. And I am tired of relying on other people. I can play multiple instruments fairly well. You know, there's people that play instruments better than me, but I can write a song. And I feel like a lot of people, especially these young kids, they're doing music and they're not really writing songs, they're just trying to write riffs. And believe me, I'm a guitarist first. I love playing and writing a good riff. But I like it better when it's in the context of a song. Good riffs and a great song just make you want to listen to it over and over again. If you've got a great song that's got some great lyrics, and then it's also got a great bass line that does some little trick moves in there. And then you have to like, oh man, I was listening to it, but I caught that bass line. Let me put that song on a repeat so I can focus on that bass line. And then you realize, oh man, that bass line is really just like, it's a play on the guitar line. Because the guitar did it first, and now the bass is doing it. Man, I need to listen to it again so I can figure out the nuance of where the guitar is doing it and where the bass is doing it. And oh man, look, they do it together right here in this part. Like that's the kind of stuff I enjoy listening to. And that's the kind of stuff I like to write. I guess if I'm going to make this like a YouTube channel, I'm going to have to make an intro song. And maybe a lot of the things I write I can just use in the background of my videos, which will be like a little bit of a challenge for people that like writing. You need a working challenge. Sometimes you do get writer's block. You can sit there and fiddle around. A lot of times, for those of us that play instruments, if you're on the drums or the bass or the guitar and you're not really feeling creative in the moment, a lot of times you just end up playing the riffs and things you like out of other songs, just out of boredom, but also because it's fun. Maybe it was a lick that was hard for you to learn, or maybe it was a riff that was in that song. When you heard it, you're like, oh man, that just sounded so cool, I never heard one like that. So you figure it out, and then you just fiddle with it when you're bored and you're not really feeling creative. So sometimes you have to create little moments for yourself to be creative. Those little boundaries you push to try to make you want to create more. For me, a lot of times, that's riding my motorcycle. Like, I can go out riding, and depending on the ride, if I'm like in an aggressive ride on the freeway, and I'm trying to avoid traffic and find my little pocket where I feel comfortable, I'm in my head, I've got a little soundtrack going that's like a rockin' hardcore riff with some really fast punk drums, and I'm just feeling it, and I'm just cruising and hearing that in my head while I'm doing it. But other times, like now, I'm on these country roads, like I just got some chill ambient music, maybe with a little bit of guitar in the background, and that's going in my head. And I'm like, well, why don't I do that? I can put that in the background. And I guess maybe that's the difference between the people that like to ride with speakers and a fairing and, you know, full bagger, and they're blasting AC/DC, or, you know, they're blasting whatever generic blues rock sound they like. They just want to feel it, because that's kind of like, even when you watch those commercials, when they're like, ride a Harley Davidson, or, you know, the new Yamaha Roadstar series, and it's got like generic rock with some blues look over it, or it's like generic southern rock with an acoustic kind of feedbacking on a microphone for some reason. But I don't do that. I don't listen to music when I ride. I think I talk out my ideas. So I figured I'd start sharing my ideas. You know, maybe it'll help somebody else be creative. This is a nice little curve here, and I think I'm going a little too fast. No, I'm doing good. So the final thing I want to leave you guys with is some dad advice. We'll call it dad advice. Be the change that you want to see in this world. If there's something that you would like to see and you can't find it anywhere, then maybe you need to be the one to create it. There's a lot of people that ride motorcycles and they're into guitars, you don't hear about it anymore except for in older generations. And I feel like younger people need to have some way to find it. If y'all like what I'm doing, give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and remember, pull hard and play hard.